everyone again. This is Carbon Prop back with another tutorial video for you. Today we're going to do some fun exercises. These are done typically during training for private pilot license, at least in Canada. Some of the things aren't covered, I think, in other places like the United States, but we're going to try them today, and you can do them too. They're always good techniques to learn. So today is slow flight, steep turns, spiral dives, and spins. So there'll be all sorts of things happening here. And hopefully I do a good enough explanation as to why we're doing them and how to recover from them. Again, I'm not a flight instructor, so if I make an error somewhere here, it's given. I don't have a formal training as a flight instructor, but I do have experience with practicing these a whole lot, whether it's in real life or simulators. So we'll get started. I'm basically on a grass runway here in Kings, which is Charlie Hotel Lima 2. I'm going to take off straight out north off of this runway. The winds are fairly light at 5 knots from the north. I'm going to climb up to 4,500 feet. So if I have something to kind of explain to you, I'll leave that in the recording. Otherwise, I'll probably edit it out and then just take you back up to 4,500 feet. 4,500 feet is our kind of working altitude. That gives us at least about 4,000 feet clearance above surface elevation, which will be good for distance for recoveries and so on. Anyhow, let's get started on this. I'm going to start up. Again, we're flying the 172 today rather than the xCub, which I love so dearly. But the 172 has a really nice flight model when it comes to doing things like spins, spiral dives, stalls, that sort of stuff. So this is an excellent one to practice in. The xCub, on the other hand, is a very docile plane. It can fly so slow that when you get into a stall situation, it doesn't really seem as abrupt. Unless maybe you're in a banking turn when you stall, that might be a little bit more abrupt, but not quite the same as a 172. And even a 172 is even considered docile in comparison to other aircraft. So it might be kind of fun for you to take some other general aviation aircraft out there and try the same techniques and see how they react. They may be accurate, they may not be. You may get some pretty funny issues going on. Okay, so we'll get this started up. Get these masters on. Okay, it automatically turns on the standby power. Landing light I don't have on right now. Strobe, nav beacon are on. Fuel pump not required at this point. I'll get the mixture in. And I'm going to set my barometer there before we get going. Cautions, what's that? Oil pressure, low volt, standby bat, and low vacuum. All that makes sense. Everything looks good here. So let's go ahead and get the mags on.
System test. Okay.
Excellent. Okay, there's power. It's powered up. We'll turn the avionics on. Landing light, nav, and strobe are all on since we're on the runway at this point in time. Just click this. Get that back up there. All right, that looks good. Now, I've got my runway heading already set to north. I'm going to set to 4,500 feet. Give me 1 second here. It's been a while since I've used the G1000. Where is it here? Not that one. I am looking for, oh, there it is, altitude. So we're going to do 4,500 feet, and this is going to be our operating altitude for our training this morning. I'll take my brakes off. Okay, I think we're all set. Get my flaps set to the first notch. And we'll do a quick clearing left and right. Looks good. All right. King's traffic, Charlie, Foxtrot, Delta Alpha, Mike, Cessna 172, runway 36 on the takeoff roll, straight out northbound, 4,500 feet. All right, starting on the roll. I'm going to pull the nose off just a little bit here. I'm probably touching the tail right now. That's pretty funny. So I'm pulling the nose off here a little bit to get the weight off the nose wheel, especially on grass. Well, on grass strips or any soft surfaces, it's good to get your nose up and off. It just keeps it from digging in, helps you accelerate a little bit better. Okay, so we're in our climb now. Get the flaps up, and up we go to 4,000, or 4,500 rather. So I'm going to climb up to 4,500, and we'll continue from there. See you up at altitude. All right, folks. So here we are. Level right around 4,500 feet. I am on a southbound heading currently. Rather than going northbound off the runway, I thought, you know what, probably better this way because we had rising terrain and it would give our kind of envelope for these maneuvers. It would be tighter than we wanted. So I've headed south from the field. Okay, so any of these maneuvers, before you apply any of these techniques, you really should be doing these sweeping turns. So basically, you would turn, you could do a 180 turn, you could do a 360 turn, but during the turn, you're basically just maintaining your altitude and making sure there's no other aircraft or any other obstacles that are in your way for practicing these maneuvers. So maybe what I'll do is since we're far enough away from that rising terrain, we'll just go north from here, and then we'll get into our first technique. So the first technique is going to be, I believe, we're going to try slow flight. So slow flight is an interesting one. I don't know that I've ever used this in the real world, but it might be a technique that you could use if you were maybe had to check out an area or you needed to kind of delay an arrival somewhere, that sort of thing. You could use this technique. And the reason for doing this is just managing your power and altitude and speed at these slow speeds, which is right on the edge of stall. So what we're going to do, 4,500 feet, we're on a northbound heading. I'm going to start pulling power back, and I want to maintain the 4,500 feet. And we're not going to put any flap down in this case. Oh, there's 45. We're just going to maintain our altitude using trim or back pressure. And what we want to do is aim for about stall speed times 1.2. That's typically the slow flight target speed. So in this case, we're looking for somewhere around 48 knots or so. And we're going to start hearing the stall warning. I'm just going to hold it off here, and I want to start applying some power so we don't get back here too fast, just a little bit at a time. Oh yeah. See, I pulled back a little too hard there. You see, nice nose high altitude. There's 48. I'm going to apply some power. And I am descending, so I want to apply more power to stop that descent. There we go. Oh. There we go. I want to be somewhere between 48 and 46, it looks like. There. Now we're not descending. This is more where we want to be. I already lost too much altitude in that, but this is right at the edge of stalling. And you'll notice when you look out the side window that we're on a really nose-high attitude, but we're not descending or climbing. And you want to be very careful about doing turns in this maneuver because your wing can stall at a much higher speed than you're actually traveling. And then you get yourself in a situation where you might end up in a spin. So there you go. That's slow flight. So to recover from this, we're going to apply full power and just slowly nose down. And in fact, I might keep the nose a little bit higher as we accelerate here just to gain that extra 100 feet that I missed when we were configuring here. So that's slow flight. Pretty straightforward, nothing crazy with that. Now, let's do a stall. And we're going to do a stall in the clean configuration, which means that we've got, if we're in a retractable gear aircraft, the gear is retracted and no flaps are deployed. And for 172, because the gear is already out, we don't have to worry about that. We're just going to leave the flap clean and up. And I'm going to start reducing power. I want to maintain 4,500 feet. And we'll just apply more back pressure as the stall starts happening. You're going to hear the stall warning, and we may get a bit of a wing drop. And what we're going to do is basically check the nose forward a little bit. There, we're going to get that warning. We're going to pull hard, pull hard, pull hard until it stalls out. Okay, there we go. Check nose out. You can use some rudder to help get things straightened out. And then there we go. Applying full power and then climbing out of it. So that one was a little bit slow in the recovery. I could have done much better on that. But what you want to be very careful of not doing is introducing a secondary stall. So what I mean by that is when you are in the stall configuration, if you pull back too fast to try and pull out of it, you'll induce a second stall, and you'll hear the stall warning going off again, and you may just never get to recover because you're constantly pulling back too hard. So you want to be aggressive but gentle at the same time. You've got to be focused. Okay, I don't want to reintroduce that stall warning again, and just apply your full power and recover out of it. So that was a clean stall. And let's see here. Now we'll get back to 4,500 feet. Level off, and we'll start slowing down. We're going to get it in the landing configuration. So we'll start dropping flaps. So I've got full flap out there now. And I am just holding on, holding on. I don't want to really be climbing or descending too much here. I'm just going to hold on. So let's assume we're just on final, getting ready to land, and I'll just pull back. And this one's going to be a bit more aggressive. Oh no, actually that wasn't. Oh, yeah. There you go. And you see how I had that secondary stall indication? That's ultimately what you don't want. But we lost about 500 feet there. Not terribly bad. We'll climb up again to 4,500. We've got our, and I guess I didn't explain the stall recovery on that. So what we want to do, get back to 45. Right. This plane just does not climb as as nicely as some of the others. It takes a little while to get where you're going. All right, so we're approaching our 4,500 feet on our northbound heading. We've cleared our area. We know that there's no other aircraft around us. And so here we go. So what I'm going to do again is reduce my power. I can start introducing my flap. Okay, I've got full flap down. I'm going to pull my power way back, right to idle. I want to hold it at 4,500 feet. Keep holding, keep holding, keep holding. Keep your hand on the power, getting ready. And there's the stall. Okay, we'll get nose down, get it leveled off with a little bit of rudder, apply full power, and slowly climb out, getting your flaps all the way back up. Try not to overspeed your flaps. If you're in a real world situation and you overspeed your flaps, you would much rather do that than die. So if you have to overspeed your flaps, overspeed your flaps. But you'd have to get maintenance to check it out after the fact. All right, so we'll continue our climb up here to 4,500 feet again. And I think next, so that was stall clean and dirty. Let's do a turning stall. How about we do that? So let's say we're configured for landing, and we're going to turn from our base lag to final. Okay, so we're quite slow already. We've got our flap down. We're turning. Oh, let's just dump all the flap all at once. We've got our power to idle. Where we don't want to descend because we feel like we're a little low on the descent. And we're gonna, whoa, oh, and what happens? This is a spin. Okay, so I'm gonna correct by opposite rudder, get the wings level, pull out of it, apply power, and in that case get my flaps up. Okay, in the real world when you're practicing spins, you don't ever want to have your flaps out because there's a chance that you're going to overstress them. So let's get back up to 4,500 feet again, and we'll try another spin. So that's the reason when you're on final, you don't want to be at really slow speeds in any turns. Then you're really risking stalling a wing. Um, so ultimately, when you're on a base lag, I can show this probably in another video, but when you're configuring for base lag, probably one notch of flap is sufficient. And then as you're turning final, get a second notch. And then if you're landing full flap, drop all the flaps when you're ready on final, and then just maintain your descent rate and level wings for the remainder of the landing. If you don't do that, if you're doing those sharp turns to final, you really run a much higher risk of going out of control. Okay, so just about back at 4,500 feet, and yeah, let's do that. Actually, you know what? Yeah, no, we'll do spins again, and then I'm going to show you steep turns and then a spiral dive. So it'll be a little out of sequence from what I wanted to do, but it'll still demonstrate everything. So a spin is basically you've lost um, you've lost lift on one wing, and it's basically just it's spinning. It's corkscrewing towards the ground, um, and the way to recover from that is to, as you're in the spin, is use opposite rudder from your spin. So if you're spinning to the left, use right rudder. Uh, Wings level, get the nose forward a little bit just to break the stall, apply power and pull out. Um, so there we go. So we're at 4,500 feet. I'm going to actually go southbound here because we're getting awfully close to the edge of that hill there. I just want to make sure I have lots of space to do this. Okay. And we'll use this as our lookout turn as well. So we're just checking, making sure there's nobody around us. All right, so now we're on our southbound heading, 4,500 feet. Here we go. So we're going to go into the stall. It's going to be a clean entry, so no flap. Pull power all the way back, hold the nose. Try not to climb too much. You want to stay within 100 feet of your altitude. Okay, we're going to pull back, pull back, pull back, pull back. It's going to get into the stall. Keep your hand on the throttle. And when you start entering and you get into the stall, hit full left rudder and just hold the rudder in. Okay, and pull full back. 1, 2, 3. Recover, opposite rudder, check forward a little bit. And start slow climb out. Make sure your wings are level as best you can. Apply full power and start climbing out of the spin. That is it. Okay, now we're going to turn southbound again. And I guess we're at 3,500 feet. We can do steep turns here. I hope the spin made sense. Again, it's not something that everybody gets to practice when they're doing flight training. I think in Canada, I can't remember if it was for private or commercial. One of them is required to practice it. In the United States, I don't think it's a requirement, so there may be a lot of pilots that never get to try one. Okay, so I'm at 3,500 feet. And what I want to aim for here is I'm going to try and target somewhere around 70 knots in this plane. I think that's going to be the speed that we want to try and keep. We want to keep 3,500 feet. And we're going to do a turn left to 360. So we're going to do, we're going to do southbound all the way around to southbound. So here we go. To enter this, what we're going to do, we've already done our clearing turn, right? We're at 3,500 feet. And I'm going to apply a little bit of power there to keep our 70 knots. And you can trim it out as best you can. There we go. Okay, so now I'm going to start my turn, coordinated turn, through about 30, applying some more power to maintain our 70 knots. 45 degrees, see I'm descending, so I want to start pulling some back pressure to stop the descent. And bank is too much, apply some more power because I'm descending far below my 70 knots. I don't want to descend. See, it's a little tricky. And there's our south right there. Okay, that was a bit sloppy. I apologize. It's been a while since I've practiced. Okay, so the next one we want to do, let's go up to 3,500 feet again. And this time we're going to do a turn to the right, 360 degrees. So again, 3,500 feet, 70 knots, and we're going to apply power through about 20 to 30 degrees and try and maintain that 70 knots without climbing or descending. That's the goal anyway. Now, you'll probably find that whenever you do steep turns, that one direction is going to be more difficult than the other, or you may be a natural and it may not cause you any issues. So let's see here, 3,500. I'm just going to slow it back to 70, and this one is again going to be to the right. Okay, there's 3,500, coming back to 70 knots. Okay, I think that's close enough. So here we go. Start through, apply some power. I'm in a descent, so there's our 45 degrees. And we're starting to descent, so we want to add power. Add some power. 45 degrees, still descending a little bit. We'll correct that. 70 knots. Not too much of a climb. Coming back around to south, so about 10 or 15 degrees out from south, we will level off, pull our power back through 20 to 30 degrees. So I was off on that a little bit again, but not too bad, I guess. 3,500 feet, and we were looking for 70 knots for that. So yeah, that's a steep turn. Next, let's see here. We're going to do spiral dives. So I don't know if I'm going to enter this correctly, but let's say you're in a situation where you've got poor visibility and you're not really paying attention to your instruments. You're more concerned with not being able to see the horizon outside or something like that. So what I'm going to do, I've got like partial power applied. I'm going to go on this slow turn. This is why it's really good to keep reading your instruments constantly and learning how to read them, because if you're in a plane that maybe doesn't have an attitude indicator, this can be an issue as well if you lose the horizon, and there won't be a whole lot that you'll be able to do about it. So in this case, we've got a horizon indicator, which is nice. Got a little bit of power on. We're getting the noses down a little bit. We're in a turn. Okay, and then all of a sudden, you're like, oh man, I'm in a bad situation. I'm over speeding the plane. Pull the power off, level your wings, and slowly pull out of it. Don't overstress your plane. And there you go. And then you can apply power as required to maintain your level flight. That one's pretty straightforward. Nothing crazy about that. So I think we got it all there. So it was slow flight, stalls, steep turns, spiral dives, and I forget what else we did there. Yeah, I think that might have been it. Anyway, that's pretty much all I have to show you for today. If you have any questions, certainly feel free to leave questions in the comments below. You can join our Discord and ask us directly. We've got several pilots there. Some pilots have experience on different types of aircraft. For me, the majority of my aircraft are turbine, but there's a gentleman on there from Brazil who also has plenty of experience on jet engines as well as reciprocal engines. So he's another one, a good one to ask about techniques, or if you have any questions with regards to that. So for now, I think that's all I've got for you. We'll do another video coming up here shortly, in which I think I'll just do standard circuits, and we'll practice a few things in our circuits. Anyway, until that, have a great day, and we'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.